Where is he? Where's Dylan at?
Hey, baby, I'm here for the party. Woo! Do I got the right place?
Right play. What are you wearing?
I'm in my beach outfit. Unified told me it was something about a beach party. Something like summer beach party, towel theme. I'm here. Where's the pool? Where's the beach?
There's no pool or beach. We're casting League of Legends here. We're on the Path to LCS channel right now.
That isn't what I was promised, Travesty. That is not what I was promised.
Well, I'm sorry, it's not what you were promised, but that's what we got. We got some competitive matches going on today. But MLBD, it's summertime, baby. We're here to party. We are ready to get into it. So welcome to Proving Grounds. Let's get right into the action.
Forward on this one. Doxa picking up the one. Trickster goes down to the backside to Shochi. Shochi barely avoiding that W coming out of Links, and now the chase is on. It's Doxa versus Shochi. And what a bubble by Doxa. The Paddle Star's not going to come through to follow it up.
And the Pantheon Ultimate will arrive eventually.
Here we go. Attempt against. Here comes the realm. It gets stolen away. Honori takes it. He takes the life of Vex as well. He will take the lives of Winthrop. Much more scrappy, skirmishy fight going for Perry. Perry's able to back up in time as the pressing guard goes up. Now Perry goes into the face of City Witty. And LeGrade picks up another one. It's going to be a double kill. He's looking for more though. Goes after Faisal. Faisal hops on, is able to complete the jump, but Faisal's still alive. Faisal's going after LeGrade, but Existence is on the jump. Will LeGrade survive? Answer's gonna be no! Faisal!
Use those long range. It won't go down just yet. Psycho. Okay, he dashed forward. Dark Passage.
Oh, huge! Charm
Detention!
gets the snipe from detention! Scoop just stays alive as actually we've seen a flank, but the charm
Three-man charm, but it doesn't do any damage. It doesn't do any damage. They're not here yet, but it has bought time. It's bought time, and they're locked up. Griffin has to run away. The reposition comes through, but there's a reset for Scoop.
Scoop!
Can he carry the fight? Scoop's got two. Jeremy's in trouble. It's gonna be three. It's gonna be four. Scoop may have given no team away. Back into the game.
Committing to the end. Anime Girl up in 20 seconds. That is the mid lane inhibitor turret dead. Ezra Ultimate used into the base, Tesserux.
Oh, here we go. Call
The
the force
minions!
goes off to go after Shochi, able to get the knockback on Shochi. Shochi falls before getting the shockwave off, but the minions are taking down the base. The minions are doing work. Redbird have to do work faster. They're going after the Nexus towers, but the Nexus towers are healthy. Trevor doing
Anime Girl's doing it!
right after the Nexus tower number one. It will fall. There's Anime Girl. He's
Anime
teleporting
Girl!
into the base. He is going for the back door. Structures are getting destroyed.
No way!
Some way! Immortals! AoE! Backdoor Redbird!
And welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Proving Grounds. We are ready to get into the action. My name is Travesty, and joining me today is the representative of Hot Boy Summer, MLBD. How are you doing, my dude?
I didn't know I had assumed that title. You know, I'm doing good. I'm excited. I love the vibes that Unified is bringing this summer. I'm loving the teams, the roster shakeups that we have. I'm so excited to get into today's games.
Me too. And I'm excited for more of everything. We're inside the circuit qualifier. We're getting into the group stage, and we're ready to get into things. But before we get too far ahead of ourselves, we do have our good friend Deseret, who is ready to go ahead and break down how everything works this season. So take it on away.
Welcome to the Summer Proving Ground Circuit Qualifier number 1, presented by Unified. 32 teams will compete in a 5-round Swiss Open qualifier to decide who will advance to the 16-team group stage. The Swiss format matches teams with the same record against each other as the rounds progress. This means in round 2, the 1-0 teams will play each other, while the 0-1 teams will do battle, and so on. The 16 teams to reach 3 wins by the end of round 5 will move on to the group stage, where they'll be seeded based on their results in the Swiss. Each group will play in a best-of-3 double elimination bracket to decide who will advance to the playoff stage. The playoffs will be single elimination best-of-3 matches up until the grand final best-of-5 series. Teams will earn points based on their overall performance. Here's how the numbers break down. The top 10 amateur teams across both of the Proving Grounds circuit qualifiers will qualify for the Proving Grounds. The Open Qualifiers begins May 23rd. You can check out those games on the Unified Twitch channels, and groups begin May 30th. Which of these aspiring champions will rise to the top in the summer of 2022? Come see for yourself.
Thank you, Deseret, for making sure that we're all cut up and understand fully on how everything's going to run through MLBD. We are going into today, and it's going to be an exciting one. We got Group C here for us on the stream. It looks like it's going to be a fun day.
Yeah, Group C, in my opinion, is the closest group out of them all, right? I could see any of these teams making it into the top 2 of this group, so we're going to have to see how it unfolds today.
But all these teams have a history going into the group stage. So we have our over-caffeinated read and write to get us caught up on all of the teams that qualified out of Open Qualifiers.
Hello, I'm Reed. We're going to cover the action of 80 games and OQs in 80 seconds with a lot of speed. And I'm so Reed, which we're cover speed read. Let's go! EG Prodigies only have one stumble at the hands of the number 1 seed, but just like the other team, it's all about the playoffs, baby. Hunter Nexus' closest game was their first against DK Crew with a 10k gold lead. They really took to heart Ariana Grande's song, Thank You Next, in their naming process, Richard 5-0. Third party utilized Viego to secure their spot in the top 16 in 4 or 5 games. Sources say much believes this is just a summer fleet. They only repeated 2 champions in 5 games. AoE Ginger Turmeric, which is as versatile as the ingredients they are named after. 3-2! Which just sported one of the best kitty ace in the tournament with Graves, but 100 next stopped out a cigar in the final game, leaving AoE at 4-1. Jinx Kittens put up a very strong week, only losing at 4-0 finalist AoE Esports in Game 3. It's safe to say these cats have claws meow. Starting 0-2 and then going 3-0, CLG Facial Defense is not just a name. 301, 297 less games than they predicted. That'll do. Team Penny made the top 16, but the results are, well, not in yet. Banana Slamma! Pluto as a planet may not be in the solar system anymore, but the support for Supernova is in this group stage. On the back of Plexus Nautilus, Cincinnati Fear pull out the spot, securing win over some Fruit Basket Warriors of Sunshine, claiming the clouds were in their eyes. Team Fish Taco finished 3-2, which was 1 win below Taco game, and once and for all proving that generally every taco beats Fish Tacos by comparison. Maryville, fresh off their finals, brought the college fiestas to the Rift and beat their opponents with experience. They dropped 2 games, but C's get degrees. AoE Random was just that in the group stage, went win-loss, 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 role-playing the coin flip team just to perfection. And this is speed reading with me, Reed. Back to you, everybody.
Thank you, I think, Reed. That was an experience. But we did get to see a journey, yes, a magical journey, if you will. But we do have what Group A and Group B brought to us yesterday on Monday's action, and you can already see on the graphic how everything ended up shaking out between these 2 squads.
Yeah, honestly, it was a day of relatively one-sided games, right? Some of the 2-0s were pretty close. Jake's Kittens in third party. I got that one wrong. But overall, pretty predictable games for the most part, Group A and B.
Don't worry, I won't hold any wrong predictions against you, my friend. I got you. But C and D, that's what we got today here, Dylan. We got a fun one, and both these groups are so stacked. This is going to be a fun day of action. We've got Group C, like I was talking about earlier, for us here, and then Group D is playing over on the Academy channel.
Yeah, I'm loving the matches that we got on Group C, but looking over at Group D, because we won't get to talk about those on this channel. I mean, EG Prodigies, AoE Randoms, those are 2 immensely talented teams with a lot of new players looking to show their stuff, and Supernova Faithful, I coached them for a little bit of the spring split. I gotta pull for them. I'm one of maybe 2 people that predicted Supernova, but we'll get to that later. I'm just so excited for the games today.
We will get into that in a little bit here, and you can see with this graphic that we have, this is exactly where you can find the matches and about what time that you can find each one of them. Over here on our channel, that Path to LCS, we do have AoE taking on 300 to start off our day, and then Team Pending versus CLG Faith at the end, while Academy's got Evil Geniuses and they've got AoE Randoms. Then you got Taco Gaming on Taco Tuesday versus Supernova. My next favorite part, though, is always to get a moment to look at the predictions that we have for our casters here. I ask that you understand where I'm coming from with why my number is just the one. I'm playing the long. I'm scaling, Dylan. I'm scaling.
Yeah, we'll go with that excuse, Travesty. Whatever works for you, my friend. I'm still in contention for the number 1 spot. I got 3. It ain't 4, but it's not that bad. I need Supernova and 300 to pull through today, and I'll be clear and away number 1.
Yeah, I'm aiming for #1 in people's hearts. That's what I'm going for here. I'm actually very surprised. You actually went for Supernova over Taco Gaming. Now, you said the Old Faithful coming in there, but man, Taco Tuesday is in full effect, and you and me are ingredients with 300. Though you and me are the only ones that are predicting 300 taking on AOE.
Yeah, we're cooking up something special with that prediction, my friend. I've got faith. What can I say? I've got faith across the board.
Okay, look, I'm down for faith. That will come into play later on throughout the day. But we have ourselves AOE taking on 300. And this matchup was very interesting. You and me have been talking about this matchup back and forth. And at the very last bit of time, it actually got a little bit more interesting as we got substitutes coming in the 80 carry role over at AOE, and then over in the jungle role over for the squad of 300. It's a whole bunch of just a shakeup.
Yeah, AOE starting 80 carry Lynx is being subbed out for Loyal, and then over as you said on the 300 side, Perry is being subbed out for Naima. So we're gonna have to see how these changes affect the actual game. I have a feeling that it's gonna favor AOE just because Naima is somebody that's not experienced at this level of play as far as we can tell, whereas Loyal, somebody who's been around the block. He's been teammates with Winston, with Skytech. So that synergy that's already been built up is probably going to make things a little bit easier.
Yeah, and, you know, looking at the matchups, we talked about where the substitutes may favor, but let's talk about a role where there are no substitutes. We got a matchup in the top lane coming at you. We got Zamudo taking on Jisung, and it's going to be a spicy one, I feel like. I feel like this is actually very interesting, seeing the head-to-head between these two in terms of stats.
Yeah, honestly, looking at these stats, when you look just purely at KDA and maybe KP, you might think that Zamudo leaves a little bit to be desired, but I do think that that says more just about the rest of AoE and how good they are. Zamudo in a lot of those games was put up on an island. He was getting dove 2 versus 1 while Winston was generating bot side leads, and he's this pressure sponge for the team that is going to play scaling picks. Things like Gangplank as shown in that picture. I wouldn't be surprised to see maybe, you know, a split pushing Jax or something like that. And over on the other side, I know you are a huge fan of Jisung. These players, they're both so new and fresh to the amateur space, only having really been on developmental rosters before. This is their first big chance to show what they have to bring to this level of play. And I really do think that this match is going to say so much for how these players really cement their spot in the top lane, you know, tier list of amateur this season.
Yeah, especially because top lane is just stacked throughout. I think that's a big thing to take note of. And even I like the point that you were talking about. Yeah, he's on top lane. That's why his KP is so low.
Oh,
and
yeah.
It made me think, I was just like, man, if your KP is actually lower, does that mean you're playing top lane better? You know, like
Maybe.
It does become an interesting dynamic. But I like the idea of these two rosters because there's one side you got AoE. We've seen them. They've been in the amateur space for a while now. And in 300 is this team full of players that have maybe gotten a shot or haven't been able to find their momentum, and they're looking to claim it.
Yeah, it's so exciting, and I do believe we are getting into drafts soon, so we're going to have to see, how do these substitutes impact the game? How do these new, fresh players to the scene, do they get their picks that they're comfortable on? I'm looking towards things like Camille, Gangplank, Jace, these really explosive, exciting top laners to get us started in our first match of Group C.
So you're not looking forward to an Ornn pick is what I'm hearing here.
Please.
Already.
Ornn is good, but for these guys, I want to see something explosive if you give it to me.
I hear you. I hear you. Well, we're getting through the bans. They have almost completely rounded out. I'm curious on what AoE has on their mind for a first pick.
Yeah, this is interesting. A lot of the very popular champions from yesterday's matches, obviously our first look at 12.10, were taken off the board. Senna, Wukong, Graves does not surprise me in the slightest. This has been a Winston champion for years. He prioritized it in the OQ, and he's going to be taking it again in the first pick of this game.
I'm very interested in this Lilia, though, because we've seen a resurgence in Lilia top.
Okay.
And that could be a very exciting thing. I know Naima is normally a Nidalee player, so we'll see how that goes. These picks are flying by, though. They know exactly what they want.
Yeah, that is a great point. These picks are absolutely flying through right now. I do think it's leaning a little bit towards the Lilia jungle just because it's something that Naima has played in solo queue before. And Leo is just so freaking good at that Lucian mid. And that is such a strong pairing. You get priority from the Lucian that allows Lilia to invade, to skirmish around that Lucian lane. And over on the other side for AoE, they lock in the early Fiora, potentially a blind Fiora, and it's matched by Aatrox. So this is the kind of top lane matchup I was wanting, Travesty. These two new players, these two very exciting mechanical players, duking it out in this bruiser matchup.
Yeah, this is one of those matchups where one person just gets their legs broken and they feel it for the rest of the game. And that is what we came here for. And now we're going into that second phase of bans. And curiously enough, AoE hasn't picked up their AD carry or their mid laner.
Yeah, AoE still needing those two pivotal pieces. And with Loyal subbing in, it's going to be interesting to see what sort of pick they opt to go towards. You were mentioning in some of our prep last minute that maybe they go towards a mage if they're more comfortable with that, playing mid lane for their collegiate team. That is something. Over on the other side, though, I like those banned from 300 because not only are you banning things like Syndra from Young, you never know if Loyal is going to play something like that either, right? So that's kind of like a double value ban in that sense. And a lot of AP champions, Zoe, Victor, Syndra, taken off the board. That doesn't leave Young with a ton of options. Maybe something like an Orianna, but we're going to have to see.
Yeah, I'm expecting like a control mage. I don't know if you want to play Orianna into something like Illusion. That is interesting. We are getting a Renata game right off the
Seraphine.
And a Seraphine?
Okay. I think this should be going towards Loyal in the bot lane. Probably just a comfort pick that they have experience playing from the mid lane perspective. And also, it's just so safe, right? You can't be punished too hard by it. You're going to be outside of Renata's engage range. You're going to be able to just clear the waves just fine. And key note for this AoE team, after having studied all of their games, Skytech loves to roam. This guy loves to roam, and there is no better bot lane pairing with a roamer than Seraphine. You can't punish it. You simply cannot dive it, cannot wave clear against it. Seraphine is this rock that is so difficult to break through, and that lets Skytech play towards the mid lane, play towards whatever Winston wants them to do. And so it's going to be so much fun to see how the Seraphine unlocks the bottom lane.
Yeah, you also have so many options too, right? You can go like the Leandri's Rallies has been a very popular one just because once you get Rallies, once you throw that at the E, it automatically roots no matter what. So it is a very spicy pick, and you're picking something that's really low range here. You do have a Vayne Lucian as your AD carry, as your marksman, so they're going to have a bit of trouble getting in like you were talking about.
Yeah, looking at the finalized composition for 300, I see all of the individual pieces in their strength, right? You have the Lilia Lucian combo for the early priority into Akali and to try and make plays happen against Winston. You have the Aatrox who can make things happen into Fiora. You have this Vayne Renata who's going to scale incredibly well. It's going to be so good at eating some of that dive and peeling backwards. But the problem is when you look at the team composition as a whole, how is it coming together, right? Where are you finding that engage? Where are you finding that team fight playmaking ability? And I'm not really seeing it. Is it going to be sort of a 1-3-1 composition? Are you going to try and like control an area and maybe get a big sleep with Lilia? It's going to be tough to make things happen. Whereas AoE on that other side, Nautilus, Seraphine, Akali coming in from a flank, you've got ways to start off these fights that I think is just a little bit stronger than AoE.
I would definitely say, like, if you look at the two, 300 has like these brilliant pieces like you were talking about, but they're very much so like individual warriors, right? They're not formed up in their squadron. They're not looking to jump in all together. It takes them a little bit of time, like you were talking about. They're pieces to a different puzzle sometimes, but you look over AoE, it's very cohesive. I agree with you 100%. It's a very cohesive composition and how they start things, and I'm ready to see how they perform on the Rift. I'm ready to see what these two teams got in store for us.
Yeah, we are just so close to getting things started for our first matchup of Group C, and a couple of substitutions does not make this match any less exciting because these teams are so evenly matched, and every single group or every single game matters in this group stage format, right? You do not want to drop a game immediately and go down to the lower bracket. That puts so much pressure on you. If you can win your first match and be in that upper bracket and give yourself that breathing room, it is so nice. Trust me, having played and coached in a couple of these formats myself, it gives you so much freedom of experimentation. You can save things in your draft. This is really a do or die match in a sense, because these teams want to be in that upper bracket. They want to give themselves a leg up going into the rest of this group stage.
Especially because, as you were talking about, the Group C is a very close group, right? You want to be a leg up on your competition. It is double elim. So even winning here does not guarantee your spot. Losing here does not mean that you lose your spot. We have seen teams make those deep runs in previous proving grounds where they initially fall at the very beginning. They drop a game to a team that you may have not expected them to. And you see them make that run back all the way into the finals. And that is the case. A lot of these teams, like you said, experimentation can happen. You can see some excitement happen. But like you said, there's nothing like the comfort of being on top.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And I do think that we are ready to get into the game. Oh my goodness. Travesty, I am so excited. These teams going onto the Rift, AoE and 300. Both teams are looking so solid with their picks. It's champions that they're comfortable on. We've got the Winston Graves. We've got the Zamudo Fiora. We've got the Jisung Aatrox. Let's see how this unfolds.
I'm ready for it, man. It's summertime, and I got goosebumps. Let's get into it as we are on the Rift, seeing how these teams start off their game plan. And we got a nice little 5-stack from 300 to start things off.
I love this. Winston always goes for an early ward, and he could get caught out if this is something that he doesn't read into. He loves to walk up and get these little wards. We see that Naima is maybe baiting it a little bit. I'm not sure if Winston's going to fall for it, though. That veteran experience, he's been cheesed a couple of times before.
Yeah, the hunter does not fall prey when he sees the deer this time around. So it will just be the standard recall. Everybody else spread out, get their stuff. No early wards to be placed. Zamudo, though, taking a couple slaps of the sword. As you can see in this top side, they're already looking to get the aggression. Minions haven't even came into the lane yet.
Okay, so one thing that I want to point out is some interesting summoner choices across the board for both teams. Zamudo has opted into the Ignite versus the Teleport for Jisung. That means that this Fiora is going to win the side lane and win this laning phase even harder than she was originally going to. In the jungle, Ghost on Graves. That is very interesting. I've seen Graves forgo Flash before, but usually it's for something like Ignite or Exhaust. The Ghost is a little interesting to me. It's gonna give him more space into these Aatrox, the Lilia, these short-range characters, so I'm gonna be fascinated to see how that unfolds in some of these skirmishes.
I like it a lot. Personally, just because the chase down's so immense. You can't outrun the man with a shotgun. That is a fear for the people of 300 in this team. And I also do like the fact that they also have teleport security. And is a pivotal part of their team fight.
Yeah, I expect this links like that and try and get the ball rolling for AoE Esports.
I like it too, just because the fact that we do see Winston tend to do these rotations where he does end up towards the bot side. He likes to go for some early ganks a lot of the time in previous proving grounds. But you do see Leo has been very aggressive in this mid lane. He's making sure that Young knows that he is into this marksman matchup.
Yes, one very key thing to note about this game is that Leo and Naima have to leverage their advantage, which is why Winston's paying a little bit of attention, right? Any breathing room he can give Young in terms of wave clear, in terms of HP leads, means that Young's laning phase is so much easier. Now Young can clear out this wave, get a good reset off, and things are going to be A-okay in the mid lane for him. Raheem poking his head in, though. I doubt he's going to be able to do anything.
It's going to be hard. Young hovering towards this top side of the map. I like that. Very smart communication. And look at what Winston is doing already. Going up to the top side, but 300 has a good read on where Winston is going as well.
Yeah, both teams with pretty passive early games, tracking the opposing jungler and support pretty well. Raheem poking his head in the mid lane right now to try and shove that wave with Leo. Make sure that Young... he's not going to miss too much. It is a cannon wave, but just give Leo a bit of breathing room, right? He's going to be able to reset, spend that gold. Look at that CS lead that's developing. 16. It's probably going to be about 10 or so after Young has cleared that wave. And we're starting to see this Lucian pay some early dividends, but it's not enough, right? You need to make sure that you're using this Lucian's priority to try and get a camp lead on Lilia, to try and maybe get an early Dragon and early Rift Herald, but a heavy trade in the top lane, both junglers.
Yeah, they're looking forward. Is going going to be Naima that gets spotted out first, as Winston looking to lay in a good amount of work. The seed gets dropped. The trade continues. Jisung, I don't think you want to take this trade, or does he? The slam coming down from the sword, but it's just a dance in the top lane.
Yeah, that was getting very tense there for a second. One thing I do want to highlight is that Zamudo already has a 12 CS lead, and we just saw towards the top side of the map that he has a massive wave frozen in front of his turret. That is why we are seeing Naima path around the alcove to try and give Jisung a little bit of breathing room to break this freeze. But the problem is, Travesty, there's a ward back in that bush. So AoE Esports is fully aware of this. Naima confirms his position. It's going to be the freeze broken, but look at that CS lead develop, and this does not get any easier for the Aatrox.
Not at all, and the TP had to get used for that, right? Like, he's in a troublesome situation. Winston gets caught out on a nice ward yet again. 300 doing a great job on making sure that they're keeping track of Winston. And interestingly enough, he's been contained to this top mid area. He hasn't been able to do his traditional roam down to that bottom side area. He's been kind of stuck in this quadrant.
Yeah, he really has been. Winston opting to give his Fiora a little bit of breathing room. We saw him poke his head into the mid lane as well with helping out Young. Young taking a quick little trade there. Nothing too serious. And overall, a pretty stable early game for both teams. I do think that it favors the side of AoE just a little bit more with how the Fiora is really breaking out in this laning phase. But that being said, Leo does have a similar CS lead in the mid lane, so it all comes down to how these teams use their advantage. And it looks like 300 looking for an early dragon. That is a great way to use your Lucian mid.
I think, especially since you focused on keeping Winston up here, great idea. But look at what AoE is doing. They have Winston going up to the top side. You've got Skytech up here. This is a terrifying dive situation for this Aatrox.
If you can deny these 3 waves from the Aatrox, it is going to be a 40 to 50 CS lead plus multiple plates onto the Fiora. This kill should be confirmed to go through. It's just a matter of whether or not Jisung can clear the wave and maybe get a trade kill.
Looking for it. See how they rotate the abilities. Ignite has been used. They beautifully orchestrate CC. And that's first blood for the Fiora.
And they're punishing the fact that the teleport was used on Jisung, right? There is no teleport to go back and claim the 3 waves that have already crashed. There's another one coming in, and this is why I love Skytech and Winston. They do this every game. They link up so well. Skytech knows that there's no punishing the Seraphine in the bottom side of the map, and he's able to walk topside, get a very free kill into the Aatrox, and now look at this top lane matchup. Oh my goodness, 30 CS and a plate over to Zamudo.
You know, if I had one complaint that I can make is both of them ignited them at the same time. But here we go. The Wilting Lullaby shows no mercy. Winston gets sleepy and gets dropped.
Wow, well played from Naima there. They have the wherewithal to know that Winston is within that bush. They use the sleep on him, and the downside of taking this Ghost on Graves is that you cannot flash out of precarious situations like that. So Winston does go down. That does give some more gold over to Leo in the mid lane, and things are looking decent for 300 in terms of this mid and bot side of the map. They just need to try and stabilize top lane, right? We see Winston walking up there. Skytech is probably going to walk up there as well for this Rift Herald that's spawning. What is going to happen towards this top side of the map over the next minute or two?
That's a big question, and you can see they're keeping this pressure in the mid lane. Renata and Lilia have not left. Naima and Rain are still here, like, waiting to see who's there. And Naima's on the hunt.
Ooh, wow.
Ooh,
great invade. Oh. Absolutely fantastic invade from Naima. They are not playing like they have no experience whatsoever. This is impressive jungle pathing, a 10 CS lead against Winston. Looking for a play onto Zamudo. Lilia has no sleep. They might be able to make it happen.
Yeah, Grand Challenge has been laid out, and it's laid onto the Aatrox, laying out a good amount of damage, but the vitals just ain't enough. That is one kill for the Aatrox. Winston caught in a dangerous experiment, and it's a double kill for Jisung.
That is huge. That means that Rift Herald's going to go over. You're going to crash this wave on Aatrox, and he's going to stabilize the matchup just a little bit. Zamudo there, a little bit of inexperience showing, right? He's going for the outplay instead of just flashing out and saving his own life. Going into the replay here, we see Zamudo can very easily back off from this situation once it develops, right? You can dash towards your turret and flash away, no problem, but he's going for the outplay here. I respect it, but his team just is not close enough to make things happen. Winston gets baited into that play, and things fall apart for AoE Esports.
Yeah, he was dead to rights there, and there's nothing you can do in that scenario at that point in time. The play has failed, and now I like this. 300, they have the gold lead now here, Dylan. They have pushed the advantages that they need to secure, and you were talking about it. Help out the Aatrox. Hey, 2 kills seems like a nice little pulse added to this top lane.
Yeah, check out the items. It's virtually the exact same on both sides now. Despite that CS discrepancy, the fact that you got to play it onto Aatrox, you were able to get 2 kills onto Aatrox. Things are looking okay for Jisung in that top lane. Him and Zamudo are very even. I still do favor the Fiora in the 1v1 just because of the Ignite and Fiora's kit into Aatrox. You can pretty easily land a good parry onto the Aatrox, but definitely not bad for Jisung, right? He's gotten a foothold back in this matchup. He can catch this wave just safely. The next big thing to watch for in this game is how does 300 use this Rift Herald, right? They're going to have a few minutes to try and use this Rift Herald to get some plates, to snowball this gold lead just a little bit more. With Dragon coming up in a minute, they have a big decision to make. Are they going to go for this Dragon and try to use the Herald after? Or are they going to forego the Dragon and use the Herald to trade that Dragon for a gold lead?
See some aggression bot side, but here comes Winston looking to go ahead and capitalize on some over-aggression. Raheem taking a good amount of damage. The smoke screen keeps the Vayne's efforts in vain, but here we go. Dredgeline, the encore hits onto 2 members. They go berserk. Leo's in the midst of it all. The wilting lullaby on the side. Nautilus picks up 1, but it's immediately reciprocated.
Wow!
And it's an immediate double kill to Naima.
Naima is popping off this game. Absolutely massive plays. 5 out of 6 kill participation there. Let's take a look at this replay because things start off so well for AoE. This fight in the bottom side develops to a point where Rahina's basically just one-shot. Sure, gets off the Renata bailout, but is dead to rights as soon as that happens. But the sleep onto Young means that Young cannot participate in this fight whatsoever. Beautiful culling and the flash Q from Naima to close things out. The entire tower going over to Nui. Wow.
So
this game is blown up for 300. A 3,000 gold lead almost at this point in the game.
You know what the scary thing for me, though, is that engage was some of the AoE started, and it was the counter engage from Raheen. And look at this. Naima's the sub and has the most gold in the game here as we're going into that 12-minute mark. Is absolutely having a phenomenal showing. Riftmaker completed. It's a great time for Naima.
This is a massive game to have this sort of a performance on. To be able to show your skills in such a high-level game against such an established jungler in the space such as Winston. This is very impressive from Naima in their first match, as far as we can tell, at this level of play. And Dragon is spawned. Neither team really playing towards that side of the map. Heavy topside investment. Naima caught out.
Yeah, Naima is caught out, trying to see if they can spin that stick right around. Gets plenty of healing and stays alive. Wow. Winston can't finish the kill, and all of a sudden the play is turned on its head. 300 kick AoE back into the well.
It started off so well. The side of AoE Esports with a pick on a Naima, but you just do not have the damage. And look at that total gold on the left-hand side. Naima with 6,200 gold, almost 2,000 ahead of anyone on AoE. Look at this pick. They just simply don't have the damage. No Graves collateral damage was available at this point. They're just 1 auto away. Winston thought it was going to go through. They do not have the gas in the tank to finish off this kill, and as soon as they don't get the kill into Naima, the play is a wash. You don't get any gold for it. 3 kills gone over. Plate gold as well to the side of 300. Dragon looking to be taken soon. Top tower, and this game is getting out of hand, Travesty.
It really is, because the game is in the hands of Naima, right? Like, he's 3-0-5 on the champion. And not only that, look at the marksmen as well. The marksmen are looking great. You got kills on your Lucian, and that's even more money for this Vayne. That is a scary formula. And look at the gold lead as well for 300.
That gold lead is absolutely massive, and it is showing no signs of slowing down. AoE Esports, though, they take a little bit of solace in the fact that they secure Infernal Dragon, which will sort of slow down this soul stacking that was happening for the side of 300. It's going to buy themselves a little bit of time, but look at that gold lead over time. Absolutely ballooning off of that bottom lane fight and that top lane skirmish that we just saw in the river top side. And looking towards next steps for 300, there's no real objectives on the map. Rift Herald is spawning soon. Second Rift Herald is very useful for breaking this mid-tier 1. So expect to see them set up some topside vision, look for that, and then they try to get mid-lane tier 1 afterwards.
AoE looking to see if they can set up some sort of play for themselves to be able to get that damage as needed. Look at how confidently Naima is on this Lilia, pushing in. The rest of the team is there to support him. 300, this might be a substitute, but they ain't playing like it. They have full communication, and whatever shots are being called, everybody's on the same page.
That is an excellent point, right? Raheem did say in an interview before the series that I had with him that he is very confident in his ability to lead inexperienced players. I asked him about how is he taking charge of making sure that Jisung and Minui are integrated into this team, and he said that he has more confidence in his own macro than anybody else at this level of play. So it makes sense that he's able to integrate Naima into the system, but Jisung caught out. Can they even get the kill?
Yeah, he's popped the World Ender. He's laying in some good damage on this. This is a big trade. The wave hasn't crashed yet, so Zamudo wasn't able to join into it. This bought so much time. The flash drench doesn't connect. It's disaster-rific for the side of AoE.
And that means mid tower is going over. They're going to pop the Rift Herald. They might even be able to get 2 turrets, Travesty, because they can take this first turret down so fast, and things are going from bad to worse. They're looking for a pick in the side lane onto Jisung. I do like the idea there. You need those picks for extra gold, but just not enough damage in the tank. Jisung is too tanky at this point in the game, and I really don't see how AoE Esports is going to get back into this one.
It's going to get a charge onto the inhibitor tower. This inhibitor tower is going to take a huge chunk of damage. This is absolutely terrible for them. Viewer just got the tower, and look at how 300 is moving. They are going straight for Zamudo.
Yeah, they really are, and Zamudo has no way to get out of this because there's no teleport, assuming they check that Alco, and they do.
Yep. He is zapped, he is getting double tapped, the challenge has been laid out, but you're condemned to the wall, and you're condemned to your fate. Zamudo will go down to Minui.
That was a little closer than I expected it to be, considering it was just a 1-kill Fiora. But at the end of the day, kill over to Minui. And, I mean, 300 is really just covering all of their bases here, right? They're not playing sloppy. They're not getting caught out. They're playing respectfully, because at this point in the game, an 8,000 gold lead at 17 minutes into the game, you just need to not throw. Right, if you just play a stable, safe game of League of Legends, you will win every single time, and Loyal's caught out.
Yeah, he uses the Encore. Beautiful cleanse. They will get the kill. It's the final hour, and it is dire for the side of AoE, as now it's Young trying to fight it out with this Aatrox that also TP'd down here to the bot lane, but everybody gets out alive, except for Loyal.
Yeah, clean disengage from 300, extending their gold lead a little bit more, burning the Seraphine Flash, and at this point, it's just a waiting game, right? You get the next dragon in 1 minute, and then we start looking towards the Baron, and 300 should have all of the tools within their composition to try and start a Baron, plant Raheen in the right spot, and then look for an engage off of it. We were talking a little bit in draft about how 300 had all of these great individual pieces, but we were struggling to see how they come together as a team composition. It doesn't matter how well you synergize as a team composition if you are this far ahead, right? That sort of comes to fruition if it is an even game, if AoE Esports has, you know, win conditions of their own. But when you're this far ahead, you just slap them with your wallet, and that's all that really matters.
If watching 300 the movie has taught me anything, is all you need is for a singular enemy for you to set your sights upon, a cause to defend, a cause that you can fight for, and 300 are definitely showing that here inside of our first game in this series, doing an absolute masterclass on how to play League of Legends. Now it's AoE trying to find answers on how they could possibly get back in. Zamudo not taking fun trade here, but the catch out, the Cavalry tries to rejoin. Jisung tries to come in, will be the first one to win. He's slamming that sword right down, and Skytech gets dropped. Leo finds the kill, and now the chase in hot pursuit. Zamudo is going to find himself getting dropped here. The challenge is laid out, but it gets answered by 300 as the rest of AoE has to retreat.
So well played, and that whole time, it was a 4 versus 5. You have Manui in the bottom side of the map. Thank you, observers. Taking waves on his own, getting solo XP, getting solo tower gold. And we see pings on Manui in the bot side. They're desperately trying to get some gold back, some foothold into this game. Manui with no flash, maybe they can make it happen, but Manui might be able to outplay.
He's looking for it. The final hour has been used. The ghost is there as well. It's going to be hard to be able to outplay this.
Oh, the
There's
dodge!
3 members, but he still finds
Oh my
one!
God!
This
Oh.
man is crazy, and now it's the rest of the team. 300 is joining in. Young is slipping away. Zylo's got something in his eyes. They go in berserk. Let him fight. They find themselves kill after kill as they avenge their comrade.
They go to back up their boy in the bot lane, and sure, they lose a little bit of gold with that shutdown, but they get 3 kills. They burn some crucial cooldowns, the Ghost on Graves. 300 is going to take this dragon. They're up 10,000 gold, almost 11,000 gold at 20 minutes. This has to be one of, if not the biggest lead of the season so far. And look at this outplay from Manui. I love the tumble that he had, the walk forward to dodge the hook. So well played, that last auto, and just a little bit more damage, and he would have been able to actually make that outplay fully come to fruition, but the boys had his back. Raheem walking in knows that he can just pop that ultimate down, make them go berserk, and he's going to be just fine.
It's just beautiful. They have so much faith in one another and know that, hey, look, I can go for this resource, and the second the call happens, you see all of 300 going down there, and that has been the theme here inside of game 1. One moving piece immediately has another piece moving with it. It is a constant flow of these champion portraits moving across the map and making sure that they are there to support each other. It never truly feels like anybody is on a weak side.
I love it. I really do love the coordination, the team play that's coming through from the side of 300. But now comes the point you need to close out this game. You've established this massive gold lead, but you need to actually make steps towards winning the game, essentially. They only have 2 dragons. They have not cracked an inhibitor. I expect to see them send Jisung down to the bot lane like they're doing and send the rest of the team towards the Baron. Try and bait something. Look to start up the Baron, but they don't want to fully commit to it, right? You don't want to get caught with a Seraphine ultimate inside of the Baron pit. You want to look for a pick, get a team fight there. Look at Raheem
look
go.
At this, immediately catching him out. Let him fight. Leo laying in some damage, coming straight in from the mid lane. The charm might hit, but it's not going to last for long. Loyal's going to find himself getting popped. Winston drops as well. The Mudu's in the back line trying to throw out a challenge. See if he can pick up a kill at the end. Young looking for some sort of assassination. We'll find Raheem as the Fiora gets dropped. It's Young versus the world, but the world is too heavy for him to carry on. That is an ace, and the Baron is going to be next for 300.
Huge team fight coming through for the side of 300, extending their gold lead to 12,000. And at this point, it's just a formality, right? You take the Baron, you recall, and then you send your players to the correct lanes. But look at this engage from Raheem, so aggressive, trying to slam Skytech into Winston. Doesn't quite land it, but he lands the double berserk. They get so much damage onto Skytech. Look at Leo go in. Dash Gale Force right into the face of them. He's not afraid of anything. He's so tanky at this point. Does so much damage. And Young tries his best alongside Zamudo to turn this fight. The Fiora's being played very well in these fights, but you're just so far behind, and the Akali ultimate, not enough to kill off multiple members. Does clear the wave to at least save the game for now, but at this point, you're staring down the barrel of a 14,000 gold lead, and 300 is looking to end the game.
This early game carry performance from Naima has led into Leo and Manui just having an absolute masterclass here in the later parts of the game. Look at the damage that they output inside that damage. Over 12k between the 2 marksmen. That is an insane amount of damage, and it's been the bar that 300 has been setting inside of this match. They have Baron. They are looking to see how they can end this game.
Yes, at this point, you walk into the enemy base, you synchronize your waves in the mid and the top lane, and you make it so that AoE Esports is just stretched too thin. They cannot defend everything. Look at Jisung pressuring in the mid lane as 300 takes the top lane. And at this point, they need a desperation pick on a Jisung.
They're looking for it. Tamudo is able to make it out, but he is getting tapped. His HP dropped to half. Leo is godlike. A beautiful encore, but do you want more? Unstoppable is Jisung as he continues his onslaught. They are going forward. They are trying to get this inhibitor. They are having to make the members of AoE Esports lift back to their base. One last desperate defense awaits them. They've got 3 members, but 300 are decimating these towers. They are demolitioning any hopes that AoE has in game number 1, and 300 come out on top.
Wow, what a absolutely dominating performance from 300. Every single step of the way across that entire game, they were on top. That substitute, if anything, it looks like Naima is just smurfing. What an insane call to bring Naima into this series, and they played so well.
I mean, I feel like you hit the nail on the head, too. It's like if you want a player that you immediately look from game number 1 here inside of this best of 3, you immediately look at Naima and be like, that is such an overperformance. You see a substitute come in, you don't expect the spotlight to be on them, especially to the degree that we saw in this early to mid game.
Normally, when you see a substitute, it's something like we saw with AoE, right? You bring in loyal to the bot lane, not a role they're comfortable on. You throw them on a Seraphine or something like that, and they just sort of passively play the game. They contribute to the team in the ways they can, and they just try not to lose the game for their team. Naima said, screw that, give me the keys, I'm gonna be driving this car, and they carried the entire early game. Such strong play coming out from the whole entire side of 300 there, and our prediction's looking pretty good, Travesty.
Just saying, we're Gigabrains. That's all I got. we are going to see if that prediction stays true from you and me, because we still have more games left in the series. It is a best of 3, so we're going to take ourselves a short break, and when we come back, we're going to be going into game number 2. So make sure you do not touch that browser.